Hello, new Bob Ross here. Okay, so I have done a little red and blue. I don't want my armpit to be the full shot. Okay, so it's I kind of already channeled the image for this, but I'm gonna be painting. Let's just give some keywords of like how this happens. Indigenous and then red and blue, okay? But this is like a Chicago red and blue. Okay, I lived in Chicago for a very long time. So indigenous, there's a lot of indigenous in Chicago. Actually, DePaul, the college I went to, is built on like Native American burial grounds. So some interesting stories there. One time, I've seen some things. One time I saw like a lady in all black figure. It was just like that by the Mobile on Seminary. I had someone tell me that was the Lady of Death. I was like, okay, well, alrighty then. So red is a primary color. Okay, red is one of the first colors from the universe. You know, reds, browns, like Mars, like dirt, like Earth. Blue didn't come into Earth color spectrum until later. Blue is more of this. Blue is a spiritual color. That is a spiritual color, and then that also, I believe, yeah, Africa, and then also India, blue people, and then like blue, like lapis lazuli in the eyeshadow and what have you. So then in America also red, white, and blue, right? So before America was America, it was Turtle Island, and the indigenous lived here. Okay, so where did the indigenous come from if they're indigenous? Well, also migratory people, but when the Spanish and then even, remember like Leif Erikson and stuff, didn't they come over here as well? It's like, who knows what's going on? Anyway, Marco Polo. Oh, Ponce de Leon. In Atlanta, all the streets are like named after explorers like Amerigo Vespucci and stuff. Wonder why. Lake Lanier in Atlanta, a lot of people, that's, okay, so like if you're from the Midwest and you go to Michigan for your lake house, everybody goes to Lake Lanier, okay? Lake Lanier, actually, if you look at the history, you know, well, so back in the day, a lot of the times they would discard bodies in bodies of water, or they would just kind of flood people out of areas, so it was just interesting what people used to do back then. Anyways, Beyonce came out with a new song, right? It's more country. It's more of a. Everybody's getting a little more country now. Post Malone getting a little more country. Everybody going back to their southern roots, I suppose. Why not? Yes, so I've been working with indigenous guides for a long time. Also, red clay in Georgia, red clay. Okay, Australia has a lot of red clay, and so does Utah. Okay, and wasn't Adam made of clay? Isn't that what happened? Wasn't he made of clay and they breathed on him, and that's how that happened, right? Well, then that kind of gets into Lilith, the first wife. She wasn't a bottom. She didn't want to be a bottom. She was a top. And then so Adam was like, well, how disobedient and unwomanly of you. So then he got Eve, apparently. Who knows? Just what just stuff. Also the Book of Enoch. So anyways, in the Midwest, Chicago means onion, right? In a language. or like sweet onions or something with onions. I also worked at the Onion. So onions have layers. Onions have layers, just like people have layers, just like our body has layers. Okay. If you look at your physical body and then your astral body and then you look at your energy body, your light body, your aura, like all that stuff, all those diagrams from like the New Age, like was that like mainly the 90s? Was that like at the height of the 90s? Anyways, if you look at those kind of what diagrams, remember when people would like hook up the electrodes to their heads and stuff? Interesting. So I also have lived all over Chicago. I went to school there and worked there and stuff. Anyways, I had visions when I was about to graduate early. Okay, so I had visions of a Native American, like medicine woman or indigenous medicine woman, a wolf, and then a really old man that looked like a chief who had like a ponytail and a feather. I was going through some things. So then also when I graduated, I moved back to Delaware because it was a year early and I had to get my driver's license, and I was like, I need to like recalibrate, heal myself, and get sober because a lot of shit happened in college. I manifested. That's actually when I started working with the energies of the Ascended Masters, and then that's when I got my holistic health coaching certification. And so then I did that for myself, and then I was healing other people who are having addiction issues as well, and I think also hormonal things and dietary stuff, and it all kind of goes together. It all blends in like a soup. So I was doing that, I was applying when I was learning, and it was good. It was helpful. It was useful. But I didn't really have fully the confidence to go into the coaching. I wanted to do that. It's something I've always wanted to do, but sometimes you really want to do things, but you just like, you're stuck or whatever. You just feel like, oh, I can't, like, why am I not doing it? Well, that's a block due to a past trauma. That's an unhealed thing. It's an unhealed wound. So it's one of those things that is for self-exploration and healing, or doing it with a professional or professionals if you feel guided. Yeah, because if there's a block, you have to unblock it. And then you have to create new patterns where they're the old patterns. So, this stuff takes like time. That's the embodiment and integration. That's the work, it's the hard part, it's the doing it. But that's also a mindset thing, because if I was like, oh, well, that's the easy part, well, then you'd probably think it was easier, right? So are we having a positive mindset, or are we having a negative mindset? So two came to me. A woman, Tetekua, and then a masculine, like hamasculine. So for me, for us, for them, for all of this is a healing and unifying depiction and spiritual imagery, and then I'm also going to bless it and do Reiki on it, of that inner union of the masculine and feminine, for which then you can experience in real life after you've visualized it, because visualization is a big part of the manifestation process as well. I might sketch it. I might need to sketch it first, actually. I didn't sketch this part. But I'm getting a grounding line. So for composition, Usually there's like a horizon line or a grounding line, depending on if you're gonna do like perspective or not. I don't do traditional 3D perspective at all. I have friends who are very talented artists and they were good at that. I'm like, no, I do my own. I do my multi-dimensionality. It's not. This is not a classical Enlightenment Renaissance painting. Okay. So from the red earth, the blue sky. Red earth, blue sky. Portal. Energetic beings. I don't really like being watched, to be honest, when I do my work or when I paint. So this is for Bob Ross. This is for Bob Ross. Also, art therapy is very healing. Art's very healing. Art's a affordable hobby that anybody can do and partake in, okay? It's also very meditative, very zen, because you start getting into the flow of things. And then also art is like a process. So that's another added bonus, okay? So you're getting into the zen, you're getting into the flow, you know, time is timelessness. And then you're creating something with your hands and your mind at the same time. Your soul, okay? And then after the process, you have the finished product. And then is perfection real or not? And then when are you done? When you say so or who's saying so? So it's a very individual thing, okay? It's a nice medium for everyone to express their unique aesthetic and selves. So the blank canvas is not something to fear, actually. This is your friend. Okay. Right? The intimidation of the blank canvas or the blank sheet. You know, you have to write on it or you have to paint it. What am I gonna do? Just breathe and feel your way through it, which I think is akin to pregnancy and giving birth, the birthing process, right?